244. Vaticha Jataka. What he sees, etc. This story the master told at Jetavana monastery, about a turntail wanderer who moved about the country. It is said that this man could not find anyone to argue with him in all India. Till he came to Shravasti city, and asked whether anyone could debate with him. Yes, Ho was told, the Supreme Buddha. Hearing which, he and a lot with him went to Jetavana monastery, and put a question to the master, while he was giving discourse in the midst of the 4 kinds of disciples. The master answered his question, and then put one to him in return. This the man failed to answer, got up, and turned tail. The crowd sitting round exclaimed, "One word, sir," subdued the wanderer. Said the master, "Yes, brethren, and just as I have subdued him now with one word, so I did before." Then he told a story of olden days. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta was king of Benares, the bodhisattva was born a brahmin in the kingdom of Kasi. He grew up, and mastered his passions. And embracing the religious life, he lived a long time in the Himalayas. He came down from the highlands, and took up his dwelling near a considerable town, in a hut of leaves built beside a bend of the river Ganges. A certain pilgrim, who found no one that could answer him throughout all India, came to that town. "Is there anyone," asked he, "who can argue with me?" "Yes," they said, and told him the power of the bodhisattva. So, followed by a great lot, he made his way to the place where the bodhisattva lived, and after greeting him, took a seat. "Will you drink," he asked, "of the Ganges water, infused with wildwood odors?" The pilgrim tried to catch him in his words. "What is Ganges? Ganges may be sand, Ganges may be water, Ganges may be the near bank, Ganges may be the far bank." Said the bodhisattva to the pilgrim, "Besides the sand, the water, the near and the further bank, what other Ganges can you have?" The pilgrim had no answer for this. He rose up, and went away. When he had gone, the bodhisattva spoke these verses by way of discourse to the assembled lot. "What he sees, he will not have. What he sees not he will crave. He may go a long way yet, what he wants he will not get. He contemns what he has got. Once it is gained, he wants it not. He craves everything always. Who craves nothing earns our praise." When this discourse was ended, the master identified the birth. The wanderer is the same in both cases, and I myself was then the ascetic. Jataka number 245. Mula Parayaya Jataka. Time all consumes, etc. This is a story told by the master while he stayed near UK Kata, in the Subhagavana Park, in relation with the chapter on the succession of causes. At that time, it is said, 500 Brahmins who had mastered the 3 Vedas, having embraced salvation, studied the 3 Pitakas. These learnt, they became intoxicated with pride, thinking to themselves, "The Supreme Buddha knows just the 3 Pitakas, and we know them too. So what is the difference between us?" They discontinued their waiting upon the Buddha, and went about with an equal following of their own. One day the master, when these men were seated before him, repeated the chapter on the succession of causes, and adorned it with the 8 stages of knowledge. They did not understand a word. The thought came into their mind, "Here we have been believing that there were none so wise as we, and of this we understand nothing. There is none so wise as the Buddhas. Oh, the excellence of the Buddhas!" After this they were humbled, as quiet as serpents with their fangs extracted. When the master had stayed as long as he wished in UK Kata, he departed to Vaishali city. And at Gautam's shrine he repeated the chapter on Gautam. There was a quaking of 1,000 worlds. Hearing this, these brothers became saints. But however, after the master had finished repeating the chapter on the succession of causes, during his visit to Khuddhaka the brethren discussed the whole affair in the Hall of Truth. How great is the power of the Buddhas, friend! Why, these Brahmin monks, who used to be so drunk with pride, have been humbled by the lesson on the succession of causes. The master entered and asked what their talk was about. They told him. He said, "Brethren, this is not the first time that I have humbled these men, who used to carry their heads so high with pride. I did the same before." And then he told them a tale of the olden time. Once upon a time, when brahmadatta reigned in Benares, the bodhisattva was born a Brahmin, who when he grew up, and mastered the 3 Vedas, became a far-famed teacher, and instructed 500 pupils in sacred verses. These 500, having given their best energy to their work, and perfected their learning, said within themselves, "We know as much as our teacher." There is no difference. Proud and stubborn, they would not come before their teacher's face, nor do their round of duty. One day, they saw their master seated beneath a jujube tree. And desiring to mock him, they tapped upon the tree with their fingers. "A worthless tree," said they. The bodhisattva observed that they were mocking him. "My pupils," he said, "I will ask you a question." They were delighted. "Speak on," said they, "we will answer." Their teacher asked the question by repeating the first stanza. "Time all consumes, even time itself as well. Who is it that consumes the all-consumer? Tell." The youths listened to the problem. But not one amongst them could answer it. Then said the bodhisattva, "Do not imagine that this question is in the 3 Vedas. You imagine that you know all that I know, and so you act like the jujube tree. You don't know that I know a great deal which is unknown to you. Leave me now. I give you 7 days, think over this question for so long." So they made salutation, and departed each to his own house. There for a week they thought, yet they could make neither head nor tail of the problem. On the 7th day, they came to their teacher, and greeted him, sitting down. "Well, you of auspicious speech, have you solved the question?" "No, we have not," said they. Again the bodhisattva spoke in rebuke, uttering the second stanza. "Heads grow on necks, and hair on heads will grow. How many heads have ears, I wish to know? Fools are you," he went on, rebuking the youths. "You have ears with holes in them, but not wisdom." And he solved the problem. They listened. "Ah," said they, "great are our teachers." And they craved his pardon, and quenching their pride they waited upon the bodhisattva. When the master had ended this discourse, he identified the birth. At that time these brothers were the 500 pupils. And I myself was their teacher. JATAKA number 246. Televada JATAKA. The wicked kills, etc. This is a story which the master told while staying in his gabled chamber near Vaishali city, about Siasenapati. It is said that this man, after he had fled to the refuge, offered hospitality and then gave food with meat in it. The naked ascetics on hearing this were angry and displeased. They wanted to do the Buddha a mischief. The elder monk Gautam, sneered they, with his eyes open, eats meat prepared on purpose for him. The brethren discussed this matter in their Hall of Truth. Friend, Nigantha Nataputta the ascetic goes about sneering, because, he says, monk Gautam eats meat prepared on purpose for him, with his eyes open. Hearing this, the master replied, "This is not the first time, brethren, that Nigantha Nataputta has been sneering at me for eating meat which was got ready for me on purpose. He did just so in former times. And he told him an old world tale. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta was king of Benares, the bodhisattva was born a Brahmin. When he came of age, he embraced the religious life. He came down from Himalaya to get salt and spices, and next day walked the city, begging alms. A certain wealthy man designed to annoy the ascetic. So he brought him to his living, and pointed out a seat, and then served him with fish. After the meal, the man sat on one side, and said, "This food was prepared on purpose for you, by killing living creatures. Not upon my head is this wrong, but upon yours." And he repeated the first stanza. The wicked kills, and cooks, and gives to eat. He is defiled with sin that takes such meat. On hearing this, the bodhisattva recited the second stanza. The wicked may for gift kill wife or son, yet, if the holy eat, no sin is done. And the bodhisattva with these words of instruction rose from his seat and departed. This discourse ended, the master identified the birth. Nagantha Nataputta, the naked ascetic, was this wealthy man, and I was the ascetic. Jataka number 247. Patanjali Jataka. Surely this boy, etc. This story the master told while living in Jetavana monastery, about the elder monk Laladayi. One day, it is said, the two chief disciples were discussing a question. The brethren who heard the discussion praised the elders. Elder monk Laladayi, who sat amongst the company, curled his lip with the thought, "What is their knowledge compared with mine?" When the brethren noticed this, they left him. The company broke up. The brethren were talking about it in the Hall of Truth. "Friend, did you see how Laladayi curled his lip in contempt of the two chief disciples?" On hearing which the master said, "Brethren, in olden days, as now, Laladayi had no other answer but a curl of the lip." Then he told him an old world tale. Once upon a time, when King Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, the bodhisattva was his advisor in things spiritual and worldly. Now the king had a son, Patanjali by name, an idle lazy loafer. In due course the king died. His funeral rites over, the courtiers talked of appointing his son Patanjali to be king. But the bodhisattva said, "It is a lazy fellow, an idle loafer. Shall we take and appoint him king?" The courtiers held a trial. They sat the youth down before them, and made a wrong decision. They adjudged something to the wrong owner, and asked him, "Young sir, do we decide rightly?" The boy curled his lip. "He is a wise boy, I think," thought the bodhisattva. "He must know that we have decided wrongly." And he recited the first verse. "Surely the boy is wise beyond all men. He curls his lip, he must see through us, then." Next day, as before, they arranged a trial, but this time judged it properly. Again they asked him what he thought of it. Again he curled his lip. Then the bodhisattva perceived that he was blind fool, and repeated the second verse. "Not right from wrong, nor bad from good he knows. He curls his lip, but no more sense he shows." The courtiers became aware that the young man Patanjali was a fool, and they made the bodhisattva king. When the master had ended this discourse, he identified the birth. Laladayi was Patanjali, and I was the wise courtier.